Hello friends, welcome back to Cine Club. For the month of October, I'm going to be serving some horror goodness. All my videos for the month will be related to horror movies. If you're new to my channel, you might not know I am what horror fans call a scaredy cat. But I've decided to brave up for the season and watch horror movies every day. I started watching the movies in September and I'm still standing. Don't worry, a total breakdown is coming for sure. But in the meantime, let's start with our horror movie talk. If you've ever had a conversation with a horror movie fan, you'll know they will always recommend horror foreign films, especially Japanese horror. And while I'm still too scared to ever watch the original Ringu or The Grudge, I can understand where they're coming from. But what about Korean horror movies? These are no joke, my friends. I've been watching a few throughout the years, and Korea brings it every time with the horror. But in this video, I'm going to mention 5 horror Korean movies you might not have heard about, but you need to check out as soon as possible. The first on the list is Train to Busan. It is safe to say that my least favorite subgenre of horror is zombie movies. I just feel like they bring one thing to the table and we have seen it before. However, that is not the case with Train to Busan. The movie centers on an absentee father who is taking a train to Busan with his young daughter to take her to her mother. As they depart, an infected woman on the train begins to zombify and attack people on board. Everything quickly escalates after that, and the surviving passengers try to make their way to Busan, where the infection hasn't reached, without getting bitten or killed. It is a classic zombie apocalypse with a few twists. The fact that they are stuck in the moving train and they have no choice but to move back and forwards and sometimes pass through where the zombies are, well, that adds a lot of tension. The side characters are interesting, and even the inclusion of humor here and there adds to the story. The design of the zombies is scary but interesting, and the way the movie explores humanity in the middle of a crisis, whether it's good, bad, or selfish, just adds an interesting layer to the movie. In terms of scary, I would say the movie is 5 screams out of 10, but you will be on the edge of your seat throughout the whole thing. Also, it turns out the movie is a hell of a lot more sentimental than I had expected, so for that I will give it extra points. Train to Busan is currently available to watch on US Netflix, and if not, you can watch it on Shudder if you're looking for a good horror movie to watch.
간다.
My next choice for Korean horror films is Tale of Two Sisters. This one is a bit older, if you consider 2003 old. In my mind, 2003 happened like 6 years ago, but that's like an older person problem. Anyway, if you are into psychological horror, Tale of Two Sisters is probably for you. Directed by Kim Ji-won, Tale of Two Sisters focuses on 2 sisters coming back home as one of them is released from a mental institution. But coming back home only brings up horrible things from the past, and dark, twisted things begin to happen. The movie was remade to an American adaptation about 6 years later, but please, don't watch it. The movie begins as a slow burner, and it invites you to try and figure out what is happening and make your own theories. It has a very unnerving atmosphere, and the dark, overly decorated house just adds to that. The production design is stunning, the cinematography is brilliant, and the acting, of course, is superb. In terms of scare, I'd say there's only 3 good ones, but sometimes it's about quality and not quantity. I give it about 6 screams out of 10 in the scare scale, but the journey is definitely worth taking. Next up on the list, and probably my favorite, is The Wailing. If you're a seasoned horror fan and movies like Train to Busan are just too mild for you, or if you're just looking to have your head f***ed with and want to feel strange for a few days, then The Wailing is the one for you. The Wailing follows a bumbling, stumbling cop who is investigating a strange infection that is taking over the village, making people crazy and dangerous. Everything takes a more personal turn when his daughter becomes infected, and he will stop at nothing to save her. This movie is one of the best emotional roller coasters I've ever been on. The movie is long, like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and throughout that time you go through different theories and emotions as to what's happening. For the first 40 minutes, you think you're watching a slightly funny zombie movie, as the cop stumbles his way through the caves and is terrified by everything that's happening. But then the movie dives into something deeper and tackles some serious questions about good and evil, faith and religion. What is good? Do we know it when we see it? Do we think something is bad or evil depending on how we look at it? All of these questions are presented in the movie in the form of xenophobia, racism, evil spirits, and benevolent ghosts. The movie also explores the question, why do bad things happen to good people? And the answer is somewhat ambiguous and leans more to the idea that things just happen at random. It is a movie worth watching more than once because it is riddled with clues and tons, and I mean tons, of religious symbolism. It's a great movie to talk about for hours after watching it. It's eerie and uncomfortable and really heavy. I absolutely love it. It's available on Amazon if you want to see it. My next pick for this list is the movie Thirst. You can never, ever go wrong with watching a movie directed by Chan-wook Park. In this case, if you're looking for a supernatural erotic horror, yes, erotique, then you should watch Thirst. The movie tells the story of a Catholic priest who ends up becoming a vampire through a blood transfusion when he was at the brink of death. Now he has all of these dark desires and impulses he never had when he was a man of God, and his beliefs begin to change when he falls for his friend's wife. Thirst is a great selection if you're starting to get into horror and you're not super into all the spooky stuff. There is some gore and traditional vampire themes, but it's not particularly frightening. It's dark, bloody, and sexy at times. The mixture of religion with the vampire themes blend perfectly in that motif of good versus evil, temptation and divinity. It's funny at times and very, very weird at others. There is something for everyone in this movie, and it's available on Stars if you feel like watching it. My last choice for the Korean horror films is Ganjam, Haunted Asylum. I can safely describe my feelings for this movie in a few words. Shit, f***ing shit, holy f***ing shit. If you're a fan of found footage horror, Ganjam is high up on that list. The 2018 movie follows a group of kids who have a YouTube channel about supernatural events. They decide to visit one of Korea's scariest and most haunted places, Ganjam, an abandoned psychiatric asylum. The group starts off the live stream with some prepared scares to increase their views. They make it all seem real by bringing additional people who have no idea that they have planted the scares in the building, so they get reactions that seem more authentic. But things go quickly wrong as the scares become real and the ghosts decide to show up. I feel like sometimes these found footage films will either have a great storyline or great scares, but rarely both. And Ganjam definitely has both. The fact that the movie centers on a real place that has been labeled by CNN as one of the scariest places on Earth grounds the story on reality, and it feels like you're watching a documentary about the real place at first. Things become creepier by the minute and the movie plays with your brain, since you are never sure if the next scare is planned by the kids or if in fact it's happening for real. The technology they use for the live stream, the different GoPros, drones, and cameras, help the movie feel a bit more dimensional. You don't just get one shot from a shaky cam and imagine what's happening, but it also makes you feel like you are right there with them experiencing all the horror. The pace is quite steady throughout and it keeps you interested in this real abandoned place, but I do warn you, the movie takes a hard turn into terrifying and traumatic in the last 20 minutes. It escalates fast, exponentially, and without any damn warning. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Maria, you said you're a scaredy cat. Maybe it's just scary for you. No. Trust me when I tell you, Ganjam brings it, and hard. So if you're okay with that and terrifying scatty noises and demon faces don't scare you, then by all means, watch it. Just don't come crying to me, okay? Because I'm still crying about it. So guys, those are my top picks of Korean horror movies you should watch if you haven't. There are definitely many more options out there that you should watch. Whispering Corridors basically launched the entire genre in Korea, but it was impossible to find a copy online. Phone is also pretty good. It's not perfect, especially when it comes to the editing, but I think it's worth watching. And if you're gonna say I forgot I Saw the Devil, well, I did not. I just don't think it's a horror movie. But by all means, freaking watch it. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Let me know in the comments if you have seen any of these movies and what you think of them. If you have any other suggestions, you can let me know down below or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I hope you enjoy this kind of video. It's a little bit new for me. If you did like it, make sure to like it and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching my first video of this Halloween series, and I will see you on our next horror movie date. Ooh. Okay, I'm done.